Hello, everybody, and thanks for being patient with us. In this crazy world right now, the technical issues are they're happening, and so that's okay. So thank you so much for being patient with us and hanging out and for joining us here today. We're super excited for this webinar. I'm really excited because I've gotten to chat with Brandon previously, and he's full of so much energy, and we're gonna leave here with so much excitement, and I'm just really excited for it. So welcome to the webinar first. I will introduce Brandon here in a second, but a couple things that I want to go over before we start is just to first just introduce you. Thank you again for joining us here today, and then introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Grice, and I'm the Senior Client Champion and Education Coordinator here at Travefy. But we also have Scott Rutz from the Travefy team. He's in the back end. He's going to help answer any questions that come in and help feed us those as well, so you can ask Brandon those questions at the end. So he's back there too. But the other thing that I want to talk about is for anyone new to Travefy Academy webinars, I always like to go through just what we are and what we're doing, just so you have a good idea of what to expect for this webinar. So Travefy Academy, what we do is we exist to provide powerful education experiences that help fulfill our mission to power the success of travel professionals. So Travefy Academy does not focus on Travefy as a product. So you will not hear anything about Travefy as a software in these webinars, but instead you're going to hear about Travefy Academy being a free resource for all of travel advisors just to learn and grow your business. And because we get to work with amazing advisors and organizations every day, we partner with these experts across the travel industry to provide these free educational webinars. And these webinars are not commercial in nature to promote these organizations, nor does Travefy ever accept compensation for partnerships. So that's really what we do, and that's why we're really excited for this webinar as well, is as we start to get, the travel's big comeback is happening, and we're seeing it, and we want to help you get prepared in your business and your mindset, and so that's why we're excited for this webinar here today. But a couple things I do want to mention too is that this webinar is being recorded. So if you need to hop off, no worries. We're going to send this webinar recording to everybody after this. So you'll get that. You can forward it on to colleagues, friends if you'd like. And then there is that question box. So if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in that question box in there. And then we will have time at the end to go over those questions. But now, with all of that being said, I want to introduce our speaker here today, Brandon Foster. And to tell you a little bit more about Brandon, a quick snippet about why he's here and why we're so excited, is Brandon Foster is the mindset expert for Careers on Vacation, which is an ASTA certified travel school that helps travel entrepreneurs shift their businesses to 6 figures and beyond. In addition to his mindset work, Brandon also writes curriculum, that's a very hard word to say, I always struggle with that, for both Careers on Vacation. I'm just gonna sweep by that word, and for Careers on Vacation and Wanderlust CEO as well. But he's also the owner and CEO of Magic Lamp Vacations, which is a niche travel agency that specializes in Disney and Universal destination vacations. So with that being said, Brandon, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. I am so excited to be here. And for those of you who are listening and tuning in, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It means so much to me that you guys are here. That means you guys have open mind and open heart to hear what I have to say today. And that's really exciting.
Oh, sorry, I was looking for the unmute button there. Yeah, and Brandon, we are so excited too. And with that though, I'm going to let you take it away and get started.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for that awesome introduction, Stephanie. I really do appreciate it. So today we're talking about unlocking your sales mindset for travel's big comeback, or as I like to say, the key is unlocking a 6-figure mindset in the travel industry, right? The travel industry, with COVID-19 and everything that has been going on in our world today, it can seem daunting, it can seem challenging, and at times it might even seem a little bit hopeless. And so my intent today with this webinar is really to encourage each and every one of you, to inspire you, to uplift you, for you all to really shift your perspective and see the other side of the coin so that you can achieve the business success you've always dreamed and wanted to have. And that's what my goal is for today. So today what we're going to talk about why mindset is important as a travel agent. We're going to talk about the 6 creative faculties. We're going to talk about why thoughts create the results in your business and in your life. We're going to talk about how to change your habits. We're going to talk about what emotions represent. And we're also going to talk about 3 things you can do right now today to change your mindset. And I really want to hone in on this really important fact, which is everything I'm talking about today is not just relevant to your travel business. These are all tools and resources that are practical to every aspect of your life: relationships, finances, of course, your travel business as well, but every aspect of your life. So just a reminder that you don't have to be taking down any notes right now. You can actually go to wanderlustceo.com/no limits to get a copy of today's class notes sent directly to your inbox. And I know that Stephanie, anybody that registered, will be sending out an email with this link as well so that you guys have it. So just sit back, relax, listen to what I have to say with open hearts. And I know this will be enlightening for so many of you. So we already covered basically my background, but my background is actually in education. I'm the mindset coach for Careers on Vacation in Wanderlust CEO, and of course, I'm the CEO of my own travel agency called Magic Lamp Vacations. And I work with Careers on Vacation with Cindy Williams, which is the #1 consulting company in the world for travel entrepreneurs. You can see my picture in the bottom left-hand corner right there, since you can't see my face. And of course, on that previous screen, you saw me with Goofy, who is my absolute favorite. He's my favorite Disney character. All right, so let's get right into the fun stuff today. This is why you guys are here. You guys are here to unlock your mindset to achieve all your business dreams, success, and goals that you have. So mindset is important because understanding what mindset is, how your mind works, how to utilize it, will absolutely unlock all the changes that you seek in your life. I absolutely guarantee it. I'm speaking from my own personal experience, and this is what I teach every single day to people in Careers on Vacation and one-on-one clients that I do life coaching for. So you guys are going to love this. So the first thing we need to talk about is how are humans different than any other creature in the universe? Because once you understand this, you can understand why our mindset is so important. So animals and all other creatures, they actually blend into their environments. If you think about deers blending into the wilderness, you think about fish in the ocean, all the other animals or creatures blend into their environments. Humans, however, we stand out in our environments. And the reason why is we're the only creatures that actually have the ability to create our own environments. You think about all the man-made roads, cities, airports, airplanes, cars, everything that we can do as humans is because we are the only creatures that have the ability to create our own environments. We actually stand out from our environment. And that leads me to our biggest difference is that humans, we have what are called the 6 creative faculties. And the 6 creative faculties are #1, memory. Humans have a keener sense of memory than any other creature on the planet. #2 is we have perception. And we're going to talk a lot about perception today. But perception just means how we perceive the circumstances in our life. And we're also going to talk about the idea between the positive end of the stick and the negative end of the stick, because no matter what circumstance is or they are in your life, which includes the travel industry and COVID-19, you have the ability to perceive this current state however you want to perceive it, as a good thing or as a negative thing. We also have the power of free will, which means we get to choose what we want to do every single day. And one of the biggest things we get to choose is we get to choose our thoughts. And then we're going to talk more about that a little bit later on, but we have the power of will. We also have the unique power of imagination. If you think about the most amazing creations that have been ever created by man, you think about Henry Ford creating the automobile when everybody was using horses and carriages. You think about Steve Jobs creating the iPhone. All these creations never would have occurred unless they had been born in the the imagination of the human mind, which is something that animals don't possess. And then, of course, we have reason, which is the ability for us to figure out solutions to problems. And then we have intuition, which is that gut instinct that you feel in your gut when something feels like it's telling you to do something and you follow it, and it ends up being this amazing, amazing thing. It's intuition. So those 6 faculties allow us to create all the dreams that we aspire to have in our lives. So there's one thing, however, that impacts all 6 of these creative faculties, and that's what we're really here to talk about today, and that is your thoughts and the human mind. That's really what we're here to talk about today, and how that impacts your success in the travel industry. So your thoughts control your ability to achieve. And the biggest mistake that most humans make is that they believe all their thoughts are true, and they're not. Just because you think a thought does not mean that's true. And that's the biggest mistake almost all humans make, is that they think a thought and they think it has to be true. And I'll give you a really quick example. You have to have a college degree to be successful. No, that is what we call a limiting belief. You can think about some amazing people who never graduated from college, and who dropped out of college, in fact, like Mark Zuckerberg, creator of Facebook. You can think about these people, and I think they're doing pretty well. So just because you think a thought doesn't mean it's true. A thought is just a thought. And the good news is, and this is the other thing people usually fail to remember, is that you can change any thought. You can choose what you are thinking. All right, so let's talk about the science a little bit behind this. So the frontal lobe of your brain is where your thoughts come from, and it's 40% of your entire brain. The average human thinks 60 to 70,000 thoughts in a day. 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before. So when you think about in terms of your travel business and your travel industry, and you want to see this amazing substantial growth, you want to see the leads pouring in, you want to see comma commission bookings, but all of your thoughts are from the same previous spot as the days before when you weren't achieving those results, how are you then expecting yourself to actually move and change your behavior and change your habits if you're thinking the same thoughts? The most, if you're thinking 90% of the same thoughts every single day, the most you're going to be able to get ahead is about 10%. So this is what I'm talking about. When you have the same thoughts, you tend to make the same choices. And when you have the same choices, you have the same behaviors. Same behaviors equals the same experience. Same experience equals the same emotions. And this means you're not changing your future. You are simply reliving your past over and over and over again. So if we want to actually experience huge changes in both our personal lives and our business, we have to figure out a way to change our thoughts so that we make different choices and we have different results. So how do we break this cycle? How do we change our future? How do we change what we're thinking right now in the midst of COVID-19 as a travel agency prepares to be a resurgence of use of travel advisors? And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So we change our future by recognizing that our thoughts are just thoughts and that they can be changed. And we can choose any thought we want to believe in. And knowing how you feel, your emotions are the indicators of how you're thinking. And this is so incredibly important. If you have ever heard people like Amanda Francis or Abraham Hicks or other people out there who talk a lot about the law of attraction or about thoughts and thinking, they talk a lot about your emotions. Your emotions are basically the indicators of what you're thinking, and it's not so much what you say. It's the reason why a lot of affirmations don't work for people is because their affirmations, they don't believe them. And it's really about the emotions behind it. And when I say that you can choose to think any thought you want to believe in, well, you can think right now that maybe people aren't traveling because of COVID-19. But then you ask yourself, is that absolutely true? Are there people that are traveling? Yes, there are. Of course, there are people who are traveling. I had people come up to me when the Corona crisis started, and they said, how has that impacted your business? And I said, well, people can't go to Disney right now, but that doesn't mean they're not booking. People have always booked their Disney vacations up to 455 days in advance, or 2 months. It doesn't, that aspect has not changed. People are still booking. But when you start to believe and you hear, oh, well, nobody wants to travel because of COVID-19, well, that becomes your perception. That becomes your perception. And we're going to talk more about that. That's actually a limiting belief. So we're going to talk more about that in a second. So emotions are the temperature gauge of your thoughts. So whenever you are feeling bad, that is an indicator that you are having thoughts that do not serve your goals, your hopes, and your desires. And the reason why they feel bad is because your true self, the self that knows you can succeed, that knows that you have your desires in your heart, and the reason why you have those is because they were meant to be, is telling you, stop believing in that. That's not true. So when you have a negative feeling emotion, it is your clue, it is your indicator that there is a thought process going in your head that is not serving you, and it is not true. So here's why emotions are important. How you think creates your state of being, because thoughts are usually tied to past experiences, memories, or problems. And I'm going to give you a really quick example of this. Imagine if there was a couple who on their first date went to this Mexican restaurant. They had the most amazing first date they've ever had. They were surprised to see a mariachi band there. It was the best margaritas they've ever drank, the best chips and queso. I'm from Texas, so I'm totally living out, my my own dream restaurant experience. They have mesquite grilled chicken fajitas. It is just hands down the best date night this couple has ever had. So they go back and they're celebrating the anniversary. Now, all those high emotions, all those positive feelings are attached in the brain to that restaurant. Now, take another couple for an example who goes to the same exact restaurant. They don't have a very good waiter. They get food poisoning and they break up at the restaurant. What has changed about those two people? They went to the same exact restaurant. They got the same exact food. The only difference is their experience and their perception of the restaurant. This is why it's so important to realize and ask yourself, in the midst of COVID-19, what am I thinking? Are my thoughts on the positive end of the stick or the negative end of the stick? And if they are the negative end of the stick, maybe it is tied to past experiences, memories, or problems. So this leaves an imprint of a very specific emotion or feeling. And this imprint, if you continue to allow this emotion to fester a few days or hours, that is what we call a mood. So someone cuts you off of the highway and you get angry at them, and instead of recognizing your anger and releasing it, you get to the office and you tell everybody at the office or at your travel agency, then you tell your significant other, you tell your best friend, and now you're continuing to relive that negative experience over and over again, and now that's why you are in a bad mood. Now, if you allow that emotion to continue for a few weeks or months, that becomes a temperament. And if you allow that emotion to continue for years, that is a personality trait. So if you ever wonder why somebody has a negative personality, that is because they're allowing certain human emotions and they are reliving those negative human emotions over and over and over again in their lives. So if you can change your thoughts, you can change how you feel. And this is what I want you all to really walk away with today, and especially in terms of the COVID-19 crisis. I want everyone to think about what's happening right now in the travel industry as you are on a ship, and you're surrounded by water, and water is all the negativity of everything dealing with COVID-19. That's what the water represents. Your ship can still move forward. Your ship can still sail. It can go at full speed in that water as long as you do not allow that water to get into your ship. The mistake that people make is they start to entertain what if scenarios. What if scenarios about what if people stop booking because of COVID-19? What if I can't charge the fees that I want to charge because of COVID-19? If you're going to entertain what if scenarios in that negative direction, then do yourself a favor and entertain yourself about what if scenarios in the positive direction, because they are just as likely to occur. And everybody should realize and understand that, and I experienced this myself because I have a really awesome Chase Rewards card and I had points to use for travel. So even though I have access as a travel agency owner to all sorts of, booking engines and everything else, I use my credit card points for travel as well. And come to find out that they actually used a online travel platform similar to Expedia, booking.com, things of that nature. And I could not get through. I could not get through to modify and change my travel to California. And the positive side of that was I realized that if I was having that difficulty, how many other people out there were having the same issues and problems, and with their own bookings they've done on their own, and now they're going to appreciate and value the service that the travel agent, the travel advisor provides that they've never recognized before. That's extremely, extremely powerful you to recognize that this situation can benefit you, can be in your best interest if you realize that. People appreciate things more after they've been taken away. Travel has been taken away. People are going to appreciate it more because it has been taken away, which is also why I invested in redoing my entire website. People ask me, why are you spending so much money to redo your entire website? Well, because now is the perfect opportunity for me to do that, because everybody's going to want to travel once the industry begins to fully reopen. So when you realize that you can change your thoughts and you can change how you feel, that changes your future. That is how you get out of the cycle of feeling the same things every single day, thinking 90% of the same thoughts and getting 90% of the same exact results. Now, at the end of this webinar, when you opt in to receive those class notes and go to wanderlustceo.com, no limits, one of the freebies I'm going to send everybody on here is the top 10 limiting beliefs of the travel industry. It's a free guide to shifting your thinking to become a six-figure travel entrepreneur. And I'm going to talk about all sorts of limiting beliefs that travel entrepreneurs have that could be limiting your own success and growth. And I want to quickly explain to you all what a belief is. So we talked about thoughts. So a belief is a pattern way, a habit of how you think. So this can be a good positive belief, everything always works out for me, or this can be a negative, a bad belief, nothing ever works out the way that I want it to. And what you quickly realize once you start to actually shine a light on the beliefs that you have, the continual patterns of thought, you are going to start to recognize limiting beliefs that you might have, whether it's about vendors, whether it's about ICs, whether it's about attracting your ideal clients, whether it's about the fees that you charge your clients. You're going to start to recognize your beliefs and thought patterns. And a belief, right, is a pattern of thought you believe over and over again. So what is a limiting belief then? So a limiting belief is a pattern of thinking that stops and prevents you from achieving your highest potential. It limits you, and it is a lie. So this freebie is going to talk about basically the 10 lies that especially newer and even experienced travel agents tend to believe that is simply not true. And not only am I explaining to you why it's not true, I'm going to explain to you how to change your limiting patterns of beliefs and also why they are a lie. That pretty much sums up what I wanted to share with you all today. Want to go ahead and open it up to questions you guys have about this. You guys can ask any questions about any kind of beliefs, relationships with ICs, relationships with vendors, any kind of thought patterns or any questions you have about the travel industry and how to shift your perspective and feel better about the current situation.
Oh man, thank you so much, Brandon. We had a ton of people coming in that were like, I see the glass half full, and just how this has been really inspiring and really helpful. And yeah, and I love that you brought up too, because every webinar we do and whenever we do any content, what always comes to the surface during this time is that what this is doing is really COVID has really exposed the need of travel agents. And so I'm really glad you brought that up because that's a huge silver lining of everything of, hey, this is why it's really helpful, and just seeing that issue and why what everyone on here does is so helpful. So thank you so much. But one question though is, what do you like to do? So what are some tips that people can do if you ever just have those days where you're just feeling not so motivated, feeling a little sluggish? Do you ever have those kind of days, Brandon? Are there ever like any things that you do to kind of snap out of that, or what helps you overcome those?
Yeah, of course. I'm human. Of course I have those days. I think every human has those days where you feel like you are on the negative end of the stick. So one of the best things you can do is you realize that when you're feeling bad or you're in a bad mood, one of the things that's really helpful for me is I have a list of things that make me happy.
I like it.
And so on my list of things that make me happy is petting my cat Frank, who, by the way, I'm really proud. He's actually just got off the obesity chart at the vet clinic, so I'm a really proud dad about that. But I pet my cat Frank. There's certain songs that really help me to be in a positive vibe, like "I Got a Good Feeling," "Born This Way" by Lady Gaga, "You're the Best Around," which is from the Karate Kid theme song. Um, Gratitude and appreciation, making a list of what you're grateful for is very, very helpful. But I always tell the students, and as a life coach and also through the careers on vacation, that when you make a list of things that are make you happy, your basically go-to list, those are tools and resources that you can use to go from that negative, bad feeling to something else. And I will say it really helps to recognize your mind as a computer program, right? And so basically, the idea behind changing your thought patterns and what you're thinking is you're reprogramming your brain, your mind. And sometimes, just like a computer, you start getting that wheel of death on your MacBook, the rainbow wheel of death, or what have you, and you are like, what do I do? And you're like, that's it. I'm going to shut her down. So if you ever find that you're in like a really, really bad mood or really angry about something, um, take a nap. Take a nap. That's basically you completely resetting your brain, your computer of your mind. So take a nap is really, really helpful. I also think it's helpful to note that y being human does not mean that you stop feeling your human emotions. It's about recognizing those emotions. What are they telling me? And allowing yourself to feel them, but then releasing them and letting go. The mistake that people make is they keep reliving the same emotion over and over again instead of releasing it and letting it go so that they can move forward.
Awesome. That's a great idea. So that's what everyone should do after this is go and make a list of all the things that make you happy. Songs, gratitude, books, naps. Amazing. So perfect. So another question here is, so this is actually kind of very similar to the question that I just asked, but this kind of goes more towards what is exactly happening right now in the world. And Beth asked, what do you recommend to motivate agents that are discouraged during the current downturn in the industry?
Yeah, so when you have agents that are discouraged, the reason why they're discouraged right now in the industry is because they are allowing negative what if scenarios to enter their brain, and they're not focused on the positive end of the stick. So the best thing you can do for agents that are thinking that way is have them actually look at what is they're thinking. First of all, shine a light on it and ask them, is that true? So if they think, well, nobody's booking right now, have them look at it. Is that actually true? Do you have other agents under your banner who are booking? Okay, so now we know that is a lie. It's kind of like the same idea that when I first started in the business, I was like, oh, I can't charge fees for my service. Why? Because, well, because other people don't charge fees, or because I don't think people will pay the fees. Well, that's a lie. there are customers and there are clients at every different price point you could possibly imagine. Where travel agents get wrong is they don't get in alignment with their ability to charge for those fees. So a lot of it has to do with the feeling of worthiness and confidence. And so some of what these travel agents might be experiencing is a lack of confidence. They're focusing on things that they can't control. They're focusing on what they can perceive with their five senses, and that's always a dangerous thing. And this is what I tell all the students in careers on vacation, especially the ones that are starting out in the travel industry, is looking at your five senses, what you can see, touch, taste, smell, and hear, as far as your progress. Those results are based on your past beliefs and your past actions. So if you want to see forward momentum of actually booking, you have to ignore everything that's going on around you and just know and realize that there are people dying for your service, who value a travel agent, who are perfect for your price point, who love you and your personality. And that's where you need to be focused on. Because if you focus on what you can see, taste, smell, touch, and hear, you're going to stay right where you are. So those travel agents who are having a hard time being successful right now, they're focused way too much on what they can see and not on what they can change and what they can control. Because there are people looking for travel agents, there are people that want to travel, there are people who value them. Those are all true. But if they're looking at outside circumstances, they're focused on limiting beliefs.
Yeah, and this question actually just popped up, but it goes perfectly with what you were just talking about. So I think I know what you're kind of going to answer to this, but I think it's really good to bring it up. Maria asks, how do you balance being positive with also being realistic with the limitations of the industry in mind? She's had some sub agents quit already, and she said she understands why they made that decision, and in spite of her trying to motivate them, they still quit. So kind of like what you said, but still, are there any ways to get around that basically and try to motivate people?
So at the end of the day, you have to realize that you cannot control what other people think. I think that's something that, as a travel agency owner myself, sometimes you want to control what your ICs think. You encourage them and you want them to do exactly the way that you want them to do. You have to realize that every single person has their own point of attraction. The only person that really can make choices for that person is themselves. And if you, as a travel agency owner, if you are trying to please your ICs to make them happy, you can't stand on your head enough different ways to make anybody happy. And the reason why is because what they want is constantly going to be changing based on their own needs, wants, and desires. So in terms of subcontractors leaving, you can look at it as one way, as, I didn't do a very good job as a travel owner, or you can look at it as that was their decision. I did everything in my power that I could possibly do to encourage them, to inspire them, to uplift them. And if they are not comfortable with it, that is the best decision for them. And this allows me the opportunity to grow and expand and bring new agents on board, and allows me an opportunity to level up. And in terms of being realistic about what is happening, realistic just means that you recognize your results, you recognize the situation, but you don't allow it to determine whether you are successful or not. That's all it means. So when it comes to like achieving your monthly goals as an agency, Amanda Francis talks about this in her Money Mentality Makeover. But basically, it's the idea of holding on loosely, which means I see where my numbers are and I know where I'm going and I know I'm worthy on it. But I also am open up to all the possibilities and all the ways that it can come, whether that happens in the first part of the month, whether that happens all the last 3 days of the month, or whether it happens, sporadically throughout the month. The idea of holding on loosely just means that you are not allowing yourself to get upset over results that you would like to see different. I hope that makes sense. I don't know who asked
Yeah.
that question because obviously I can't see it, but I hope that helped you.
I like that. I like that the idea of holding on loosely. So you still are grounded, you still have, the hard numbers that you can see, but it's you're holding on loosely and you don't know when. Just keep knowing that the positivity's coming. So yeah, no, that all makes sense. I really like that. And
Yeah.
also Patty said, this is incredibly inspiring. She said, you just helped me shift my thinking process and I needed that right now. I look forward to more webinars with you and to seeing your follow-up freebie. So thank you so much. So she said, so I had to share that with you.
Well, I'm glad. The other way to look at this, and this is a really great analogy, is if you think about your agency as a car and you are going towards your destination of whatever sales or however many leads, whatever your destination is, doesn't matter how far away your car is, your car can still get there. Some cars go faster, some cars go slower. Some cars have to make a U-turn when they miss their turn. And the good news is that as long as your car is moving towards that goal and you're headed towards the right direction, then you are okay. You're making forward progress. And the biggest mistake that I see, especially new agents make, or even experienced agents make, when we start looking at the negative side of the coin, is they start to look backwards instead of forwards, and they don't celebrate the small successes. I'm really a big proponent of celebrating every success, because once you start to recognize your small successes that you're making on a daily basis, whether it is you got one extra lead this week or you had one extra booking, whatever your small successes are, when you can celebrate those lead to bigger and bigger successes.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way of thinking about it. And this kind of goes on that a little bit too, of just kind of things that people can do to keep staying in this mindset. Danielle asked, are there actual active steps that you would suggest to do to further support maintaining this positive belief going forward?
Yeah, so one thing that is really helpful to realize is that intention is very, very important. Um, every every day, everything that you're doing, the intention that you go about doing something is very, very important. And so how you start the day is really one of the most important aspects of your success, both for your mind, your personal life, your finances, and everything else. So I always start my day in the morning. I do some emotional clearing, which just means that I recognize what emotions that I'm feeling, so that I am clear-headed about going about my day. I meditate, um, and I grew up in a very religious household where meditation was thought as a bad thing, and really all meditation is you're focusing on whatever subject you want to focus on today to set your mind down the right track. So for me, I like to think and meditate on very broad affirmations, like everything is working out for me, or I'm worthy of all the success that I seek, those kinds of things. And hands down, the biggest thing that helps every single day, and I recommend everybody do this, is a daily list of appreciation and gratitude, 5 to 10 things in the morning, and 5 to 10 things at night. Doesn't have You don't have to actually write it down, although that's helpful. You can think about it in the shower, you can think about it when you're brushing your teeth, or even before you get out of bed. But if you think about it in terms of, say a mom or dad who gives their son or daughter a bike, and that son or daughter is so appreciative of that bike, they just love that bike so much, the more appreciative they are, the more that parent wants to give to them. So when you make your daily list of gratitude and appreciation, you're basically telling God and the universe, thank you for all the things you've given me. And that opens the door for you to receive more things. And some people have this limiting belief that no matter how successful they are, you can't possibly be more successful, right? Well, think again about the parents. If that kid is very, very grateful for that bike, what do you think that mom or dad is going to want to do? They want to get them a bigger bike, a better bike, the perfect color bike that they want. Now, the next thing is they want to give them a car, right? But what happens is we think that we're not worthy or we can't deserve a more, and that's just simply not true.
Yeah, no, that is great. And I had a couple questions come in too that I think are really interesting. I'd love your take on this of just kind of what to expect moving forward in the rest of this year into 2021. So Arjun asked a question of what do you think will be the biggest change once the resurgent happens? Would mass travel ever come back? And I also think this is really interesting because since you focus on Disney and Disney is one of the first that are kind of coming back, you kind of are in the front lines to see these changes being put in place. So what do you see for the future of travel and what are you thinking is going to happen?
Yeah, those are good questions. So I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah. What?
As
Why
much as
not?
I would like to say that I do have one, I don't have one hidden in my back pocket someplace. Um, the thing is that I believe there's been so many crises in the travel industry. I mean, you look at back at 9/11, you can look back at just Ebola outbreaks. I mean, the list goes on and on about different kinds of things that have impacted the travel industry. I would have to say that this is obviously probably one of the biggest ones, but I honestly don't. There, I view it as this. I view it that there will be different procedural changes as a result of this pandemic, but I don't believe that this is going to be the end of travel. I really believe that when there is an obstacle or a challenge, this is an opportunity for humans to use their six intellectual factors and to create solutions. So, and because I'm based out of Tampa, I've already been to Universal 3 times. So I know the policies and the changes and the procedures that they're doing, and I know that Disney, they look at each other, left, right, up, down, and center. And I know that a lot of what I've experienced at Universal is very similar to what Disney is going to do, and they might have some small modifications or changes, but you know, um, people are going to want to travel, and I think that there will just be a shift and precautions that people take. Maybe people wash their hands a lot better. I mean, how many times have I seen people not wash their hands in the men's bathroom? So I think there will be some changes for sure. But as far as the end of travel or that people won't be traveling, I don't believe that that's the case at all. And I'll be honest, my uncle calls me Pollyanna because I always look at the glass half full, but I also have to say it's always served me. It's always served me. And every time that something, every time I've examined a limiting belief and I've re-examined my thought process and shined a light on it and come back to the truth, I realized what the truth is, and that truth happens. So I believe that it's just a shift. And it might be a little bit uncomfortable right now, but it's actually the best thing for all of us because it really is helping us to assert our expertise in the travel industry. The clients that I've had through this crisis are more like family than any other clients I've had before because I've rebooked them 3 times. Some of them.
That's
So,
true. Yeah.
and those are lifelong relationships proponents for your agency. So
Yeah, that's so true. And once again, we come back to the beginning of what you're talking about is just what is happening is what are the positive things coming out of it. And you just said those, that's the other thing about it. So this other question is really interesting. So this is from Jane, and she was saying she's been very constant in her marketing to clients and potential clients. But she's wondering if these two things that she's thinking are negative beliefs. So the first belief she's thinking is that clients are not receptive, thinking that they do not know when they can travel. So that's why they're not being receptive right now. The other thought is she's saying, I do not want to be seen to be recommending clients to travel in case it gives the impression that to me, making money is more important than the health and safety of my clients. So would you consider those two thoughts to be a negative belief?
yes. Yes, I would consider those two thoughts to be negative belief because here's what happens, okay? Think about the mom, right? Who is in a bad mood. She comes home and the kids ask her, Mom, are you in a bad mood? And she goes, No, I'm in a great mood. Right? Even though she's saying, right, she's saying to her kids she's not in a bad mood, the vibration, the emotion she's sending off is that she is in a bad mood. So when I talk about intention, right? When she says, I don't want to be seen as someone encouraging people that are going to risk their health to travel, and that people aren't sure of themselves when traveling, that is the thought that she's sending out to the universe. That is the vibration she's sending out, just like the mom with the bad mood. Instead, you want to ask yourself, what kind of clients do I want to attract right now? I want to attract clients who are excited about travel, who understand the risks without me having to explain it to them, who value me for my service and expertise, right? When you shift that, and that's your intention behind your ad, now your ad is sending a completely different vibe. It's why sometimes people do the same exact thing and they have completely different results, and it's because of the intention behind what it is exactly that they are doing, right? And so we always talk about, what are my limiting beliefs of why I'm not worthy, or why I can't receive, or why I can't achieve the success that I want to do. Well, one thing that people forget to do is ask, am I afraid of the success? And so one of those questions is really about being afraid of the success. If I do book people, are they going to see me as someone who is just buying for dollars and doesn't care about their health and safety? And so it's kind of like someone who wants to earn more money, but they're afraid that if they earn more money than their significant other, that significant other is going to be upset, right? And it's not your responsibility to control how your significant other reacts, but if that's what you believe and you're afraid of it, then you're keeping that success from being fully realized because you're afraid of that success. Why are you afraid of that success? Because you're afraid that your significant other is going to be jealous and it'll ruin your relationship. So then you have that belief, and so by not succeeding, your inner being or whatever is trying to protect you from the negative side of that coin. So by her having those ads and her thinking that process, she's trying to protect herself from being perceived that way. But in that thought process and thinking that way, that's the signal she's sending out. And instead, she needs to focus on what she does want, which is what people value and appreciate the service that I provide, and that they understand the health and risk measures, and I don't have to worry about explaining that.
Yeah, no, that's great. And thank you, Jane, for asking that question, because I think that's a question that a lot of people are thinking too, like just kind of being like, I really want to do this and I want to do, I want to be motivated and get people booking, but I'm kind of scared of all these, the way I'm coming off, or, that. So that's great. I'm glad we were able to get into that question. But unfortunately, we are running low on time, and there's one more question that we have time for. So I'm gonna ask it to you, Brandon. So Christina asked, so when you personally, Brandon, when you're going through a rough patch of no bookings, do you change your strategy or your attitude?
So results and your mood are indicator of your thoughts. So if you're not having the success or bookings that you would like to have, then yes, you need to reevaluate. And I do want to stress that there are practical things that you should do, and it's part of why I love the Careers on Vacation program, is because a lot of what people don't realize is that when you're giving practical tools, those practical tools in and of themselves can really help you boost your confidence. And when you have a boosted confidence, you're rising your positive vibration, which gives you better results. So when you're not seeing the results that you want, you need to ask yourself again, what am I thinking? What are the practical things that I'm doing? And you need to listen for the answer. A lot of times what people do is they get frustrated, they're not getting the results that they want, and they ask, what am I doing wrong? How can I be better? What do I need to change? But they never listen to the answer. And a great thing to do is to reassess, is before you go to bed, just ask, write it down. What are my thoughts right now? Be honest with yourself. I didn't get the bookings I wanted to get this month. What are the things that I can change? where can I be led to do something different? And then just don't worry about it. Walk away from it. Stop beating the dead horse. And then the next day, after you slept on it, relook at the questions, and you'll be surprised at the answers, the intuition, and the things that you will receive. And trust your instinct. I also say this: when things aren't working out for you, ask how things are working out. Well, I didn't get the bookings that I wanted to, but what is working out well for my agency? Are you getting leads that you want? Are you getting some really good engagement in social media? Because if you start to recognize how things are working out for you and ask that question, that can create momentum in every other aspect of your business as well. And if your business is suffering, then think even broader. What is going right for me in my life right now? Do I have a really good relationship with my significant other? Do I have a really good relationship with my kids? What else is going really, really awesome? And that's why I like to use general affirmations. Everything is always working out for me. It gets easier and easier. The better it gets, the better it gets. Those things, really, the more general you are, sometimes that's easier than getting really, really specific.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so good. And man, thank you so much. There's so much to take away from this, just preparing yourself, writing down things, maybe, and we're starting, right? This is actually a perfect webinar to have July 1st because it's a new month. You can set your goals, set your intentions, think about what went well in June, all that good stuff. So thank you so much again, Brandon. This has been really fun. And I know a lot of people they're just going to have so much to take away from this. And we just thank you for spending your time with us and sharing your wealth of knowledge about all this as well.
Absolutely, it's my absolute pleasure. Again, make sure you all copy down the web link, wanderlessco.com, no limits, and then you get my free guide for the top 10 limiting beliefs of the travel industry and why they are lies. Lies, lies,
Yeah.
lies.
Yeah, and those will also be attached too. So the email that you all will receive after this, they'll be that, or that'll be on there too as well. So definitely, and then we'll put it on our website too, academy.travefy.com. But reach out to us too if you don't see it, and we can get that to you right away as well. So with that
Awesome.
being said, yeah, well, I know we're going on to a long weekend, well, for the U.S. residents, but we just want to thank you so much again. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thanks again, Brandon.
My pleasure. Thank you, Stephanie, for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one, everyone.